Welcome to Break the Cycle with Bethany Dotson, the podcast for high-achieving professional women who struggle with codependency, attracting emotionally unavailable partners, and who repeat dysfunctional patterns in love. I'm your host, Bethany Dotson, and if you want to learn more about how to break your cycle in love, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and be the first to know when a new episode drops. I'll see you inside. Hello, everybody. I want to talk to you about the top 5 habits that I see when I do breakthrough calls and when I work with clients that are the top 5 themes that are holding somebody back, that is causing a woman to stand in her own way in terms of just experiencing daily happiness in her life after a destructive or a narcissistic abusive relationship. And the things that are causing her to put up barriers. She may want a healthy relationship, but these are the habits that are happening in her life, running in her psychology, the choices that she's making that are sabotaging that. Without further ado, let's just drop into it. So the first bad habit that you may be making as a professional woman who has her ish together on the outside, maybe you're great in your career, but behind closed doors, you have a broken picker. The number one top habit that is holding you back is the belief that there's something wrong with you. I cannot tell you how many thousands of people I have talked to. That is the core fundamental belief. And this is really easy to buy into, especially if you just exited a really bad relationship. Maybe if you went back and forth, re-entered that same relationship, you went back several times or so many times it's embarrassing to say it out loud. Or you may feel like something's wrong with you if you've been single for a very long time. We're talking like more than five years, 7 years, no dating, a little bit of dating here, but not a whole lot. You may feel like there's something wrong with you, that you've gone this long of a time without any type of activity in your love life. The thing with believing that something is wrong with you is that you are going to constantly attract or be drawn. First of all, you're going to constantly attract situations into your life that prove that belief to be true. So whenever we have a subconscious belief, and subconscious beliefs make up 95% of what you get or don't get in life. When you think that something's wrong with you and you believe this, you are going to attract people, job scenarios. I work a lot with women who not only have dysfunctional patterns in their love lives, they tend to have that same codependent pattern in their work environment where they feel resentful, they feel drained, they don't know how to set boundaries, they feel taken advantage of in a work environment. They're not truly happy. So when you feel like something's wrong with you, you're going to attract more circumstances, situations, people that prove that belief to be true. When you believe that something's wrong with you, you're basically living in fear. And when you live in fear, you are going to be more prone to worry about what could go wrong in your future. What if I did start dating again? And what if I did meet another narcissist? What if I did start dating again? And what if I met somebody who was really amazing, but that ended and then I'm alone again? So I see a lot of people writing their future or enrolling themselves into failure based on the belief at the core that something is wrong with me. So if you believe, and here's the kicker, if you believe that something is wrong with you, you are almost always going to attract a partner who fundamentally believes that something is wrong with him or her, depending on your preference. Why? Because from a trauma perspective, from a subconscious perspective, there's it's a proverb, an Asian proverb: water seeks its own level. As human beings, our bodies are like more than 75% water, so we tend to attract people who are a complementary match to where we're living emotionally. And if you are hard on yourself and you beat yourself up, and a lot of times people get out of a relationship, a narcissistic relationship, and they really believe that something's wrong with them. And they think that their ex is the reason that they believe something's wrong with them. But I'm going to argue that because most of the time, that belief that something is wrong with you preceded your ex. The belief that something is wrong with you is what caused you on a deeper level to attract somebody like that. And if maybe the word something's wrong with me doesn't resonate with you, your belief might be I'm not good enough. I'm unlovable. I'm just different. I'm defective. I'm broken. Everybody else has it easier and I always have to struggle and fight harder and it's got to everything I do is it's a lot harder for me. When you have beliefs like this, you're creating more separation and more distance between where you are and what you want. And if you believe that there's something wrong with you or that you're unlovable, you're basically not owning your value. You're not in your own essence. You're not in your own authenticity. And you're going to attract somebody. You're going to be more prone to look outside of yourself to try to get some of that validation and significance. This is habit number 2 I'm going to talk about. But when you believe that you're going to attract somebody else who, on some level, also believes they're not worthy, they're unlovable, they're defective, they're broken, they're different in some way. And I'm speaking from personal experience, myself having done this and working with lots and lots of women who have done this and spoken to hundreds, if not thousands, of people who've had this in their history. So, habit number 1 that is keeping you stuck is believing that there's something wrong with you. Habit number 2 that is holding you back is trying to get rid of the feeling something's wrong with you through seeking significance or achieving. So a lot of times I talk to women and they're really driven, they're really motivated in their careers. They get stuff done really quickly. They're the achiever and they wind up attracting a partner who has some kind of a struggle going on in his life. She sees potential and buys into the story if I just show love, if I am just consistent, if I just give him what he needs, then maybe my love will be enough to motivate him into greater change. And this is a trap, obviously, if you're listening to this and you've fallen into this pattern before, because when you seeking significance can look like for you achieving in your career, it can look like achieving in a project laden relationship, meaning you're falling for a project and trying to fix that person rather than falling for somebody who is an equal, which, by the way, may be highly uncomfortable for you. Achieving can look like, or seeking significance can look like dominating conversations, not truly listening, not truly being vulnerable in a conversation. It can controlling behavior, trying to control your environment, getting into a rut in your work environment, getting into a rut in your daily habits. So when you are seeking significance or seeking achievement, you're looking outside of yourself to try to get rid of that ever pervasive voice that there's something wrong with you. And the downside is that no matter what you try to do out here to get rid of what's going on in here, it's like a vicious black hole. It never works. The only way to do that, I'll talk about this in a second, is to really address what's going on in here. The other downside of always seeking significance or achieving is that it tends to make you emotionally unavailable, because when you have relational trauma or you are alone, and by the way, if you have a fear of being alone as a single person or a newly divorced woman, the aloneness is likely not something that's new, meaning you probably felt very alone in a toxic relationship or an unhealthy marriage, but just justified staying in that because you believed the future would be even more painful, the unknown would be even more painful. And life, God, whatever you believe in, the universe always has a way of knocking you upside the head with a cosmic 2x4 to get you to pay attention, to get you back on track. So habit number 2 that is causing you to stay stuck and attract possibly the wrong partners or just avoid dating altogether is filling your time with seeking significance, achieving in a way that is on a deeper level, trying to get rid of this feeling of something's wrong with you or that you're not good enough or that you're unlovable et cetera, et cetera. Habit number 3 that may be holding you back, and I get this one a lot, belief really, is that believing that there are no good men in your city, in your small town, in your age range, on dating apps. So I get a lot of people who believe that there just aren't any good men anymore. And men, and I've heard it, men who are in their 50s all look like shit. I live in a small town. There's no good men in my area. Trust me, they're all married. So these are stories that a lot of women create as a way, consciously or unconsciously, to keep themselves safe and to keep themselves armed or guarded against possible future pain. And it's really not that there's a lack of quality people or a lack of quality men. When somebody says there's a lack of quality people, their approach, their mindset, and their emotional space is from a place of fear and often prejudging people. And when you prejudge people, what's really happening is that you are likely judging yourself every day, going back to bad habit number 1, and feeling like something's wrong with you. So when you believe that there are no good men in your area, what's really happening is you're just projecting your own pain out here. And if you've been with a narcissistic partner or person, deeply feels inadequate, they deeply feel like something's wrong with them. They try to control, manipulate, do whatever they can to win love or to fill that hole, and it never works. And they believe the problem is everybody else. So you can see that the same traits that might be present with an emotional abuser, if you keep attracting emotional abusers, you on a complementary level have these same traits happening in your psychology. You just may be playing them out a little differently. So if you think the problem, the only thing that's standing in the way of you in a great relationship is that the people out here don't line up for you, it's because you're believing, if this all goes back to your subconscious beliefs, you're believing that there's either something wrong with you, that you're unlovable, again, consciously or unconsciously. And if you continue to believe that there are no good men out there, you're right. You could be standing in line at the grocery store and the person standing behind you could be a great person for you, but because you're so closed, because your mind is so close to that idea, you would miss that because you would be under the hypnosis, if you will, that there are no good men in your area. So in my experience, it's never about a lack of quality men. It's how you're vibrating in here. It's how you're feeling and believing on a daily basis. And if you believe that something's wrong with you, if you believe that it's going to take me forever and ever, I'm never going to meet the right person, Henry Ford's quote was extremely accurate. Whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. So that is bad habit number 2, is believing that there are no quality men, dating apps, the men on dating apps, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Bad habit number 4, people pleasing and poor boundaries. This is a trauma response. We have fight, flight, freeze, and there's a 4th one. Not a lot of people know about it, but there's a 4th one called fawning. People pleasing is your nervous system's way of trying to create safety in an uncertain scenario. And this may especially be true for you if you have childhood trauma or you grew up in a chaotic childhood, or even if you had many years in a chaotic relationship. What happens is that you get very skilled at reading people's behavior and trying to predict how somebody is going to show up. So you become hyper vigilant. And when this happens, especially in childhood, your nervous system gets trained to default to avoiding conflict so as not to create more abuse, not to be the recipient of abuse. And when you get older, what happens is that this often shows up as being over complimentary. So we talk a lot about especially in narcissistic abuse, this concept of love bombing, right? So the narcissist love bombs you, and then all of a sudden he starts pulling away and getting critical, and then there's the discard phase. So if you are a people pleaser and you have poor boundaries and you may be codependent, you probably do this as well in your own way. So people pleasers tend to easily attach in relationships. They're a yes person because they want to be liked. And this all goes back to the fundamental top habit that I talked about at the very beginning, believing that there's something wrong with you. If you believe that there's something wrong with you, you're going to be more likely, and if you have relational trauma, you're going to be more likely to fall into the camp of people pleasing as a way, an unconscious way of creating safety and trying to get your needs met. So people pleasers tend to maybe put a partner on a pedestal, believe that this partner is everything in a certain way, love bomb, but not in an overt way, perhaps maybe internally in her own way. And then over time, when the partner can't fulfill her needs, or she says yes too many times and continues to overextend herself, then there is this distance creating phase where the resentment starts to build up. So people pleasing and having poor boundaries drains your energy, and it causes you, number one, to approach relationship or get into this continuous cycle of resentment in your relationships, and not just really in your love life, probably in other areas with clients, if you're a business owner, with friends, perhaps with your family. When you have resentment, this is a big block to developing emotional intimacy and to feeling truly connected, and really to feeling like you truly belong. So people pleasing and poor boundaries are number 4 bad habit that may be keeping you stuck. And last but not least is blame. So blaming your ex, blaming yourself, blaming your childhood, blaming dating apps, blaming the city that you live in. When you are in blame, you are basically living as a victim. And I am not saying that whatever happened to you was justified. I'm not saying anything your ex did or is currently doing perhaps is right or fair. What I am saying is that if you continue to blame outside circumstances on for your current situation, for your current lot in life, you are going to continue to stay stuck. Feeling like a victim, when you feel like a victim or you feel like the world is unsafe, you're going to be highly less likely to make any significant risks that are going to lead to healthier choices in your life, because you're going to be too hyper focused on what could go wrong. And when you're worried about what could go wrong, when you're hyper focused on what if I meet another narcissist, all this is a trauma response. Your fight or flight center has been skewed because you were using it disproportionately inside a toxic relationship. You were walking on eggshells. You were trying not to rock the boat. You were apologizing when your gut was saying, I don't think I need to be apologizing. I didn't do anything wrong. Why am I apologizing? Like the blame, all of the psychological manipulation, this takes a toll on your brain. And when you're living in fight or flight, the downside with this is that you lose access to your intuition. The connection to your intuition, the connection to your gut instincts it's like static on a wire. You're trying to tune into that radio station to listen to yourself, but there's so much chaos going on up here that it prevents you from fully tuning in. So just to quickly recap, the top 5 habits that are likely keeping you stuck in a pattern of loneliness and attracting the wrong people. And this is especially for you if you are a driven person, you're an achiever, you are problem solver, and you tend to get in problem laden relationships and want to fix those problems and fix the people that you're with. Habit number 1 is believing that something's wrong with you. This is if we could just focus on one, that's probably the top habit, believing that something's wrong with you. Habit number 2 is trying to get rid of that feeling of something's wrong with you by seeking significance, some type of external thing to fill up the hole inside, or achieving. And so if you feel like something's wrong with you, and this is your core fundamental belief, you're going to be a match for people who also feel like something's wrong with them. And you're going to be, and if your habit is trying to fix and achieve and do things so that you can temporarily feel worthy, you're going to be a match for trying to fix people, because it gives you a temporary jolt of dopamine and happiness, but it's not lasting. You always go back to the same place of there's something wrong with me, because the partners you choose are inevitably incapable on a fundamental level of giving you what you need, because essentially you're not giving you what you need. So seeking significant external validation, achievements to try to fill up and compensate for the belief that you're not worthy, there's something wrong with you. Bad habit number 3 is believing that there are no good men in your area, your age, your city, the dating apps, creating, this is why outside, because of these people out here, this is why I don't have a great relationship. This ties into habit number 5, which is blame. Habit number 4, people pleasing or poor boundaries, continuously draining your energy, feeling resentful, and resentment is a block for healthy relationships. And then again, habit number 5 is living in blame, blaming yourself, internally beating yourself up, being your own worst enemy. These are the things that could very possibly be keeping you stuck in a cycle of loneliness, not feeling like you can be truly yourself, not being vulnerable, and ultimately not attracting healthy relationships. So if you need, know that you need more than talk therapy. If you've had talk therapy, if you've done a lot of research on codependency, maybe you've had coda groups, maybe you've researched your eyeballs out on the narcissist, you know that you have childhood trauma, you logically understand why you're doing what you're doing, but you keep doing what you're doing, then you may need deeper work on rewiring and healing that relational trauma. And this is what we do here inside of Break the Cycle, along with coaching our clients to make effective, empowering decisions with the relationship with themselves, developing the strongest relationship they've ever had with themselves, and then in turn attracting different types of people in a relationship that they've never had before, and then overcoming all of the fear and uncertainty that goes along with that journey. So if you're single or you're newly divorced, you've had a lot of therapy, you've gotten some insights, therapy has led you to feeling good in the moment, maybe when you were in crisis mode, but you're not where you want to be. And you realize you need more of a plan, you need something that you can follow, a roadmap every day, and you need a trauma-informed method that is not going to keep you talking about your past, but help you actually step into this future emotionally, subconsciously, and make choices that are going to lead you to the future that are out of your comfort zone, and you need accountability for that and support, then I encourage you to book a free breakthrough call. Go to BethanyDotson.com/talk, and we'll have a very honest conversation to see whether or not we can help. We're going to get some clarity on what specifically you're struggling with in your love life, get down to some specific details, and then most importantly, get you clear on what you want, because a lot of people don't focus on what they want. They focus on what's not working for them, what's wrong with me. So their mindset is not in an optimal place on a daily basis. And then if we feel like we can help, we're going to show you what that looks like. And then if we feel like something else is going to be better suited for you, we're going to steer you in that direction. So either way, you've got the next step. So BethanyDotson.com/talk. Few things to qualify for the call. So you do need to be single, meaning you're divorced. Maybe you've already filed for divorce. You're living separately. The biggest thing is that you are not hoping to work it out with your ex. Emotionally, you are done. You may still be ruminating and obsessing and feel a little addicted. That's okay. But you know, like the larger part of your psychology is I'm done. Second thing is that your professional, other areas of your life are going well. From healing a complex trauma standpoint, when people have other areas of their life running relatively well, granted, narcissistic relationships can cause these other areas of life to be a little unstable, but generally, other areas of your life, you've got a great job, you've got a great home life, you're stable at home, there's no chaos going on at home. This is an optimal environment to start healing that complex trauma, because you need to feel safe in your own life to be able to do that. And then last but not least, you probably already had some therapy. You've already tried some things. You've already taken an initiative in rescuing yourself, but you're still stuck. So if that's you, I encourage you to book a call. And as always, if you have questions, please drop them in the comments and I will circle back and answer you to my greatest ability. And I will see you soon. Take care. Thank you for tuning in to today's show. A brand new episode drops each week. Be sure to click and subscribe. And remember, healing trauma, codependency, and your lifelong pattern in love does not happen by itself. You need expert guidance and evidence-based methods. And I have helped hundreds of incredible women from all over the country heal betrayal trauma and reclaim their confidence while falling wildly in love with their own lives and attracting healthy relationships. If you like what you heard today and you want to see if you're fit to work with us, go to bethanydotson.com/talk. That's bethanydotson.com/talk and book a call to speak with us today. We'll get on the phone for about 45 minutes and get you crystal clear on 3 things. The real reason you keep attracting dysfunctional relationships, even if you know better or even if you've done tons of work on yourself. What you really want in a relationship, how you want to feel emotionally every single day in your life, and what lifestyle changes you want to make. And then number 3, the exact strategy you need to be using to get there. Again, healing trust issues, codependency, and a lifelong pattern does not happen without expert guidance. We've helped hundreds of women across the country heal complex trauma, codependency, and have the healthiest relationships ever, both with themselves and with others. Go to bethanydotson.com/talk to book your call today. I'll see you on the next episode.